Hello, I hope you're doing good. Yeah, I wanted to jump on today and talk about something that I see as a really big topic in the world right now, and that is the subject of where is our attention going and where is our focus going? Because wherever we're putting our attention, this is having a really profound effect, not only on our bodies and our mental state, but also on the people around us, and it has a ripple effect. And yeah, I wanted to share about my own experience about this because what I see right now in the world is our attention is being grabbed into some really intense topics. And of course, first of all, I believe it's important for us to acknowledge and not avoid what's happening, but it's about how we're responding to that. And yeah, I hope that with my situation, it can perhaps, help you see maybe a different perspective from how this attention can affect us. And as I was saying in my last video, if you saw that, I was talking about my cancer situation and how it's getting much better now. And obviously I'm really relieved about that. And I can't put it into words, but I feel really good. And this is, it's just, can't put it into words, but I don't want to go too much into that right now. I want to focus more on, there was an element to this journey that contributed to both me feeling much worse and now better. So I would say, in 2020 is when my attention and the trauma response to COVID really got magnified. And I believe that our traumas collectively got magnified during COVID and have continued to do so. And I was not able to really get off of my reaction, and I stayed in this fight or flight during COVID. And when that happened, when COVID happened, when the lockdowns happened, I knew that it was a lie. So this is the other thing, it didn't matter actually that I knew it was not true what they were saying to us on the TVs. It mattered what my response to it was. So we're going to have many situations in life right now where something is totally not right and it's really horrific, but really our response to that is crucial and important for us individually and collectively. So for me, I was not able to get out of that fight or flight. I went down a rabbit hole of looking at what's really going on. And I was reading a bunch of information and seeing a bunch of stuff get revealed, and it was incredible to see it. Also, I really would recommend actually people look beyond what's being presented to us on the left or the right, because there's stuff that's underneath that. So I feel like it is a fine line of it is important to know what's going on, because once we know this, then we are not as easily manipulated to what's being presented here or there. But the point of that was I stayed in this fight or flight, and I would say it got to the loud point of my trauma response was about last year, where I finally realized, okay, you know what, I have to unplug from this kind of stuff. And also one of the aspects of this for me was there was really a bitterness, really a blame going on with this dark agenda happening, and I was blaming and had every right to do so. That's what makes it tricky, but I had to recognize, okay, actually you festering in this bitterness is making your health deteriorate to the point of, in December, I was having a hard time getting out of bed. So about a year ago, though, I had to make this choice, okay, let's get off this track of ingesting all of this information about what is going on in the world, and also work with this bitterness. And so I had to start doing things okay, that bitterness, I see it when I would see it come up, I would, instead of before I'd really expressed it, but now I was okay, just be quiet. Actually, just be quiet and acknowledge it and see what happens there if you don't express that all the time. Because I was used to just, if I would see something, I would express it. and I was constantly like people around, like I was trying to show people, not constantly, but a lot of times I was trying to share with people knowledge about what was going on, and getting bitter when they didn't want to receive that. And they had every right to not receive that because they didn't ask for it. So there's all these different angles to look at in our responses. You know, even when we're right in something, our response is a lot of times not healthy if we're getting into this like blame or whatever it is. So I had to really start to alchemize and work with that. And as I mentioned a moment ago, in October something really started to happen in a negative way with my body, and then December it was really hard to get out of bed, and I was in bed most of the day. But also at this time I was able to, my mentality was actually like there was a lot less, my bitterness was starting to lift. It was interesting that this was all happening around the hardest part physically. I was light in my mind, and I just surrendered to it. And then like around January, I decided to do some extra things around taking care of myself, and just like I'm gonna dive in fully to looking at like where my attention's going and what I'm putting in my body, and just take full responsibility for this situation. And things started to rapidly get better. And I haven't felt this light also, like in the mind. I don't know when the last time I felt this light. So I feel like our attention, we can either put it in directions where it is detrimental to us and creates a really negative situation that festers in us and then festers to the people around us, or we can start to take a look at, okay, what do I need to work with here, and where do I want to put my attention? Because what was clear for me, like even knowing all the stuff that I was learning, all the stuff that I was seeing get revealed, and like also like, by the way, with COVID, like no one has been like arrested for that, and they should be. So like there's all this, like there's a right for us to get angry about that, but it's like it did no good for me to stay in that frequency of blame and anger and bitterness. And so I also got clear with where do I want to put my energy. And so for me, I really turned my energy to compassion. I think it's good to like be eyes wide open with what's happening in the world, really eyes wide open, moving beyond comfort zone of information, of a biased opinion, like, okay, let me look at everything actually. Eyes wide open, and then compassion, because also what I know is compassion and unconditional love, going to someone like Dr. Joe Dispenza. This can literally change the world and heal. And so when we're putting our attention on these frequencies, this can change the landscape. And so I decided that, I'm gonna just do my daily meditations and visualizations and focus on inner child work and just sending compassion to that child, and then also sending compassion to different people in my life, especially people that I might have had arguments with, that we didn't see eye to eye on something, and just starting to like really connect with the humanness of each other instead of getting in a blame. And I think from there, where we start to put our attention and we start to lift ourselves from this fear frequency, then we can start to ask ourselves the question, okay, now where do I want to put my attention? And if I feel like I want to take a stand and help be a part of like the change in the world that is happening right now, there's a lot of incredible, beautiful changes happening, and some people choose to try to work within the system to make these changes, and some people are going outside on another path, and I believe all of them are valid. And so I believe it's a good question, like where do I want to express taking a stand for something that I believe in. And I think it's really important to come from a place of strength, compassion, and and just support and respect. and, you know, finding your own unique expression of that. You know, mine, for example, I've always been really passionate about the body and what it can do with nature since a long time. And so this is part of the expression that I feel called to do, you know, and it so happened I ended up getting cancer in 2015, and what I'm taking a stand for is my belief in that anything is possible with the human body and nature, anything. And some people think that's crazy, and that's their right to think that. But I believe the more people that go this path, and the more people that heal from things that the medical system says impossible, there's going to be actually more and more people that get off of that track and onto another one. And there's also going to be people that never, and that's also fine. I think it's also really important to have many different ways to do whatever it is. Decentralizing the entire thing instead of having these top-down things that are dictating about what people are doing. So yeah, I think this is you know, where we're putting our attention. You know, do we really want to be like, yeah, staying in a fear frequency? I like, as I mentioned, I saw firsthand that fear frequency, fight or flight, really took my body into a really difficult spot. Really difficult. So I saw firsthand how this focus and attention can dive down to dark places. And so, yeah, really believe that now with the things happening in the world, we can unplug from that and of course still acknowledge it, and then look to where we feel called to do our work and take a stand for certain things. And yeah, and then just trusting and also, you know, last thing I'll say here, yeah, I feel like our society, there's a lot of like boxes, you know, like we have a car, we drive in a box to an office box, and then we look at a TV box, our phone box. There's a lot of these boxes, and our brain gets really trapped in like a really small like periphery of like choices. But when we get out into nature, this is also why I like coming out into nature, is our brain starts to go to different paths. And like I come up to this mountain, I try to ride to different paths, and I feel like the more we can tune in with nature, you know, also things get more clear. There's not this noise of something being blasted down our throat. We can just listen to, yeah, this beautiful place that we live on, and attempt and try to live in harmony with it, and yeah, just do our part. And yeah, with that, I think I'll stop it there, and wish you a nice day or night wherever you are, and see you on the next one.